Hello everyone and welcome to YMB Movie Talk from your movie blogger. My name is Simon Mansell and I'm very, very happy that you've decided to join me today for my fourth podcast episode. Technically it's my fourth podcast episode, but it's kind of like my fifth because yesterday I did try and do a live stream on YouTube for my podcast, and the audio was like really bad and I just wasn't a fan of it at all, so I just decided to take it down. But I have all my new audio equipment now, so that basically means you should be hearing me crystal clear. Fingers crossed. The audio is going to be better now, guys. So all that background noise that you've probably been hearing in the past, that's all going to go now and you won't be hearing any of that. All you'll be hearing is me talking. So we're getting up in the world. So yeah, guys, thank you for all tuning in today. We have quite a lot to talk about, but I'm going to keep it quite specific today, guys. You've probably seen in the title. What we're going to talk about today, guys, is, as many of you may know, Disney have their own version of Comic-Con called D23. It's basically like their Comic-Con. They have all their things there that they want to showcase, all their properties for their film and television and all the other stuff as well that they like to publicise. And with D23, there's been a whole lot of news coming out. So I have a lot to talk about today, guys, and I'm really excited to get into it. D23 so far has been absolutely amazing. Some of the news that has come out has been really, really great. Some of the things that they've revealed have been fantastic, and I'm really, really hooked on it, guys. So I've got a couple of topics to talk about today, guys. Usually I'll keep it to about 4, but because this show's kind of like a special show, we have a lot to talk about as far as D23 goes. There's a lot of things that was revealed in there, so I'm going to try and talk about everything that's been revealed so far. By the time this podcast airs, more things probably will have come out about D23, but so far, this is all the stuff that's been confirmed and stuff that's been revealed from the convention. The first thing that I want to talk about is the trailer for the very, very highly anticipated Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian. Now, The Mandalorian is basically a dark-ass spin-off of the Star Wars universe, focused on the bounty hunters. So if you think of like Boba Fett and people like that, it kind of focuses on those kind of characters. Jon Favreau has been brought on to be the showrunner. I'm a huge Jon Favreau fan, even though Lion King really didn't do it for me. But that being said, he's still a fantastic director, a very, very good creative force, and one of the best directors around right now. So even though he didn't direct anything, any of the episodes or anything like that, he was the showrunner, he was the creative voice, along with people like Kathleen Kennedy and stuff like that. So he's basically, it's his show, and he's brought people on. There's like Taika Waititi's been brought on to direct one of the episodes as well. So I'm interested to see how that goes. The trailer did drop. The first official trailer for The Mandalorian did drop at D23, and it looks absolutely incredible. There wasn't a lot of dialogue in this trailer. It very much was a teaser trailer, 100%. It was a teaser trailer in every sense of the word. But it looks absolutely incredible. It has to be said. I'm a big fan of The Mandalorian. It has to be said. I think The Mandalorian's one of the best. It could be one of the best shows. Everything I've seen from it has been fantastic. It definitely seems to be taking a darker turn in every level. I think what's been revealed so far has been pretty good. And I'm excited to see what Favreau can bring to this world as far as his vision for Star Wars. It has been obviously mostly what we know from Star Wars is very, I wouldn't say light-hearted, but it has that very childish wonder to it that George Lucas obviously intended to bring when he first created Star Wars back in the mid-70s. That's what he wanted to bring. He wanted to bring like a very faithful children's kind of series. That's what he wanted to do. He made Star Wars for kids, really. So to see a darker Star Wars, I was going to say Star Wars film. It's not really a film, it's a series. So to see something more darker in the Star Wars world, for me, is fantastic. I think it needs it. I think the past few films have kind of gone into some darker aspects, but it's kept it very, very much family friendly. And not to say Mandalorian's like R-rated or anything like that. It's not, it's not an adult show at any point, but it definitely is. It looks visually a lot darker and grittier. It doesn't seem as overproduced, but it seems to definitely have good production value as well. It's not like it's been made for like 10 million. It's been made for a good amount of money, and you can see it in all the, the set design, the costume design. Everything looks fantastic from The Mandalorian. This trailer starts off, everything seems very somber. You get a little introduction to each character. I didn't even know Carl Weathers was in this series, so I'm a big Rocky fan. So to see Carl Weathers in The Mandalorian is fantastic. The trailer definitely focuses more on the visual aspects of The Mandalorian, which is kind of as a teaser trailer, as an introduction to The Mandalorian. I think showing familiar imagery really helps to kind of grasp the nostalgia, what people have for Star Wars. And it's not just nostalgia anymore, because Star Wars is very much a powerhouse in cinema right now, as we've got, Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and we've got Rise of Skywalker coming out in a couple of months as well. So definitely the Star Wars series is, is still a very viable franchise, and seeing it come to Disney Plus, having like a Star Wars TV series, a live action series, is going to be fantastic, and I'm very interested to see how they take this property. I think the one thing that did worry me a little bit was the lack of dialogue. In a way, like I said, I understand it because it's the first like teaser trailer, it's the first look that you have for this series, and that makes a lot of sense. But then again, at the same point, it kind of worrying. Is the dialogue up to scratch in a way? Is it good? We'll have to wait and see what the dialogue actually turns out like. But I have a strong feeling about The Mandalorian. I think it could be something great, or it could be terrible. Who knows? But I'm definitely keeping faith with Favreau and the team there. I think it's like a 6-episode series, so it's not like a long, drawn-out series. It's definitely a controlled, structured narrative. It's not just like a Star Wars series that goes and does its own things. It definitely seems like it's a structured series, 6 episodes, so it's not going to drag. It's interesting to see how Disney Plus will bring these television series onto their network, because obviously, are they going to do it in that Netflix model where they just release all the episodes at once and you can binge watch them, or they're going to release them weekly? It's gonna be interesting to see how they do it. I think personally they should go down that Netflix route. I think binge watching now is the way people consume television and films. I think that the days of sitting down in front of the telly and watching TV series, with adverts in the middle every time something happens, waiting week to week to watch your favourite shows, I think that era is dead. But if it's not dead, it's definitely dying. With exceptions of like week to week shows, say something, I don't know, like a wrestling show like Raw or SmackDown, or if it's like a soap like EastEnders or Coronation Street, or even something like a Match of the Day, or if it's like a weekly kind of show, then you can't really binge watch things like that. But if it's like a structured story, narrative based series, say something like a Stranger Things or Orange is the New Black, in that kind of vein, 13 Reasons Why as well has been very successful, House of Cards. If it's that kind of series, if it's that kind of show, then definitely I think that's the route that you need to go down nowadays. I don't think people are willing to do the week by week thing anymore, and that's understandable. That's just the era that we live in now, and I think The Mandalorian will suit well in that, because it definitely has that production value, it has that style, and I think it'll keep people really gripped. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes, guys. But I'm feeling very positive about The Mandalorian. The trailer looks fantastic. Please leave your thoughts in the comments down below about The Mandalorian, and we'll start a little discussion about that, because I'm very interested to hear what you have to say. Okay, guys, right, the next topic that we have to talk about today, from D23, is the Lady and the Tramp trailer. Now, A lot of people didn't even realise that a Lady and the Tramp movie was coming because it's coming directly to Disney Plus. So people who are expecting this film to come out in cinemas, or if that's what you're thinking, that's not going to happen, guys. But it's coming out exclusively on Disney Plus. I think that's great for Disney Plus. I think that's what they need to do more of. They need to do more of this original content. I think that you can have the library, definitely. You can have that Disney library with all the films on there from the past. But you definitely need to create new things as well. And I think having the Disney classics, remaking Disney classics. I know I ranted about The Lion King. I have problems with that. But if you're remaking films from like 50, 60, 70 years ago and you want them to be made, retold for a modern audience, I think a good way to do it is on Disney Plus. Because obviously if you're buying for Disney Plus anyway, I don't think people will be as offended if you have to go out and buy a ticket specifically to see that property. If you just put it out on Disney Plus, I think people will be hooked on that. Lady and the Tramp is a big favourite for a lot of people, but then again, it's kind of forgotten about in that Disney. It never really gets brought up in the conversation. When you talk about the best Disney films, you talk about Beauty and the Beast or Lion King, or people will bring Mulan in there, or you'll talk about Bambi or Fantasia or whatever it might be. Those are the films that usually get chucked in there. No one really ever talks about Lady and the Tramp, and I think that's a shame, because Lady and the Tramp for me is arguably one of the best Disney films. It has one of the most iconic moments. Everyone knows that spaghetti and meatball scene. It's engraved in our culture, so it definitely has its impact. I don't think people are as eager to see Lady and the Tramp as, say, something, I don't know, like a Lion King or a Beauty and the Beast or a Mulan or, anything like that. But definitely there is an audience for it. I think this will target... I think Lady and the Tramp will target more older audiences. I just by watching the trailer, obviously there was a trailer released at D23 for Lady and the Tramp. Judging by the style, it definitely feels like it's taking that kind of, periodic kind of drama style while still having that Disney magic in there. But I don't think that'll appeal to younger audiences as much as, say, something like The Lion King, where everything's so fantastical, and or Beauty and the Beast, whatever it might be. But I think Lady and the Tramp definitely is going down that more, it's keeping it a lot more realistic. I was really interested to see how they was going to do the animals. Would they do the whole CGI thing? But thankfully they haven't. They've gone down the, if you remember from like the early 2000s, there seemed to be this trend of having like live action animal films, and then the animals are just like, they do like a CGI dub over their mouths, so like their mouths would match the actors. It's really weird, films like Cats and Dogs. Cats and Dogs is one of the, a good example of something like that. Stuart Little with Snowbell, they did that as well, so it can be done 100%. And it kind of feels like they're going down that route again. And the Lady and the Tramp trailer looks good. It's nothing amazing by any means. It definitely has that warmth to it. I think that's the main thing that I got from this trailer. It feels like a very warm, very inviting film. The tone seems very, like I said, it leans more towards like a drama, like a romantic drama. And I think that's good for something like Lady and the Tramp. I'm going to be interested to see. I'm just curious as how it's going to actually turn out. I don't know, guys. I'm waiting to hear how this film will be quantified as being successful, because obviously it's not going to be released in cinemas. I think it might have like a very short theatrical release, like probably in cinemas for a couple of days maybe, just to build the hype for the Disney Plus release, which makes sense obviously. But then again, I think there's other things that Disney are releasing around the same time that people will want to watch more than Lady and the Tramp. And I don't think people will really put themselves out to watch it as much. I don't think remaking Lady and the Tramp will bring in people's attention so much for Disney Plus. But I think because Disney Plus is so much on there, as far as all the Marvel properties and the Star Wars properties, I think that will definitely grip people and hook people in 100%. But yeah, guys, the Lady and the Tramp trailer, if you've not seen it, please go and watch it. I want to get your opinions on it. I want to see what you think about it, because for me personally, I don't really know how to... I don't know, guys. I don't know how to really think about it, to be honest. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's good. It piqued my interest. It has that Disney magic, that Disney warmth. But it's interesting to see how this film's going to turn out, you know, how it's going to do on Disney Plus, how people are going to, the attention that this film's going to get. It's going to be very interesting. But yeah, guys, leave your thoughts in the comments below about Lady and the Tramp, and we'll have a little discussion about that. Right, I'm trying to get through these topics, guys, but you know me, I'll always ramble. So, right, the next big bit of news that came out of Disney Plus, it's been rumoured, since Disney bought Lucasfilm back in like 2013, and they started putting in the production of Force Awakens, and then they started announcing all these spin-offs. The one film that people have been asking for endlessly is an Obi-Wan Kenobi film with Ewan McGregor. People have been begging for this film to happen, this spin-off to happen. People have been going on and on about it, and I am one of those people. I think that if you're going to do a spin-off of classic characters, there's definitely a story to tell with Obi-Wan. You know, between the time of episode 3 and 4, there's a big chunk of story there that you can tell. Where with something like Han Solo, I think his whole story was told in the films already. You didn't really need to do a spin-off film, which is why I think that film kind of failed financially, because people just didn't want to see it. They didn't have a need to go and see that film. Where I think Obi-Wan, there is definitely a story to tell there. And I can't actually believe, but we are actually getting this film. It was announced at D23. Kathleen Kennedy, announced that Ewan McGregor was coming back. Ewan come out on stage. And it's fantastic, guys. This is what Disney need to do for the Star Wars films. This is what they need to do. They need to... I think so far the spin-offs have felt very unnecessary, I'd like to say. Not that they've been necessarily bad. I like Rogue One. I think Rogue One's fine. It's nothing special, but it's fine. I think visually it's very interesting. I like the Darth Vader scenes. That was very good. I like the connective tissue with episode 4, with having Tarkin, and even though they quite controversially they did Tarkin, but I think they did it well. I liked it personally. I liked the visual style. It felt like I was watching a Star Wars film. Solo is whatever. Don't really have much of an opinion on Solo. I think it's quite a boring film, but I do like Rogue One. So Star Wars films are very hit and miss so far for me. With the new films, I think Force Awakens was fantastic. Last Jedi was good, even though it got a lot of hate, but I think it's a good film, personally. If you're asking me, I would defend Last Jedi. I think it's a decent film. And then there is... what else is that? Trying to think. There's Solo, and then there's like Episode 9 coming out at the end of this year, which Episode 9 looks fantastic as well. It's got J.J. Abrams back. But back on topic, not going off topic, we need to go back on the Obi-Wan thing. Definitely the Obi-Wan Kenobi film is something I'm very interested to see. I'm interested to see how they do it. What story they're going to tell. Will we have a young Luke in there? Because obviously, if you know anything about the Star Wars films, and spoilers if you've not seen episode 3 or 4, at the end of episode 3, Obi-Wan goes to take Luke to... Oh my god, I'm blacking out. It's not Jakku. Shit. What's it called? The desert planet. Fuck. Tatooine. There we go. Tatooine. Right. He goes to take Luke to Tatooine to stay with his aunt and uncle as a baby. And then obviously episode 4 picks up. Luke's now an early, I'd say late teens, early 20s. And then Obi-Wan's old, and then episode 4 carries on, and then the whole story kind of kicks off from there. But there's a big gap there of say 20 years. There's 20 years worth of story there that you can tell, and definitely there is a big story to tell there with Obi-Wan. How, what was he doing in that time? It's very interesting. It's an intriguing thing to think about, and I think people will definitely be interested in going to see. You know, I've heard people say, you know, Star Wars needs to stop these spin-off films. They're unnecessary, which I agree with to a point. But I think the one film that you can definitely do a spin-off to is Obi-Wan. I think there's an interesting story there to tell. I'm interested to see how they go about it. You know, I just love. I think that's the one thing I've took from the prequels is that Ewan McGregor was fantastic as Obi-Wan, and he was just in terrible films. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does with a better director in a better film with a better script. That's going to be really interesting, and I can't wait for that. That's going to be really enjoyable to see, guys. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Ewan McGregor coming back as Obi-Wan? They're doing this spin-off film. You know, are you excited for it? Are you trepidatious for it? Do you trust Disney and Lucasfilm to do this character justice, or do you think they're just going to mess it up? Which, you know, I'm kind of... My trust with Disney is at an all-time low at the moment with the whole thing with the Sony deal with Spider-Man and Lion King and all these things that are going on. My trust with Disney is very much waning. So I'm interested to see how they deal with the whole thing with Obi-Wan. But I'm interested to see it, guys, and I want to know what your thoughts are. So yeah, just leave them in the comments below and we'll have a little discussion about that. Right, the next topic today, guys, that I want to talk about is another bit of Star Wars news. For fans of the Clone Wars animated series, it will continue. People have been thinking, you know, will it end after the last season? But it has been confirmed that it will carry on and it will air in February 2020. I'm not too sure if they announced if it's coming out on Disney Plus or not. I kind of feel like it would be. I kind of feel like Disney now are just going to put all their stuff, all their big stuff that they want to really push. They'll put that all on Disney Plus, and I don't think everyone else is really going to get that Disney flavor. So, you know, if you've got Netflix and you're expecting Avengers Endgame to come out on there, you're going to be very, very disappointed. And I think that starts streaming on Disney Plus. That was announced as well, actually, while I'm talking about Endgame. That was announced to be streaming on Disney Plus in December. Disney Plus airs in November, so you'll only have a month to wait for Endgame to be available for streaming. Obviously, it won't be available for streaming before then because it's exclusive to Disney Plus. So if you're expecting it to be on Netflix or Amazon or whatever it might be, you're just going to have to wait for that. But it is out on DVD and digital and Blu-ray or whatever, so you can still watch it. But if you're waiting for a streaming version, you'll have to wait till December. But back onto the topic that I was talking about with the Clone Wars, that is coming back. People have been looking forward to a new Clone Wars series. I've watched parts of it. I've not watched a lot of the Clone Wars series, but I know a lot of people are really into it, and obviously it's all canon with the films as well, so it helps to give you little tidbits and fill in gaps between the films as they're coming out. You know, we had the whole thing with Darth Maul, you know, how he's come back and he's got those, you know, robotic legs, and then we see him in Solo, and then instantly people are putting the connective tissues together. So yeah, the Clone Wars series is coming back, guys. If you're a fan of the Clone Wars series, then I'm guessing you'll be very happy about that. It's coming in February 2020, which in February is my 23rd birthday, so yeah, maybe it'll come out near my birthday, who knows. Right, the next thing I want to talk about today, guys, is a couple of the Marvel announcements that was released at D23. And one of those announcements is a Moon Knight series. A Moon Knight TV series is coming to Disney Plus. A lot of people have been asking for Moon Knight now for a couple of years. People have been, you know, I don't really know much about the Moon Knight character, so I can't really give much of an opinion on how the character will fit into the MCU. But what I do know of Moon Knight, the only thing I really know from Moon Knight is the Lego games, which is like really bad, really. Like that's the only thing I know about Moon Knight is like through the Lego Marvel games. You know, from what people have said, he's kind of like Marvel's answer to Batman. You know, he's this kind of rich billionaire who goes out and fight crime. You know, so that's going to be interesting to see how they do that. The MCU's getting stacked with characters now. It's getting stacked with characters, like really stacked. So it's a big world now, and they're just expanding it and expanding it. Like, people have been saying now for a while that will the MCU become irrelevant? When will it stop? When will people stop getting when will people start getting bored of the MCU? Well, this is one way to stop people getting bored of the MCU. You know what I mean? Just keep bringing out these new properties and people will be there to see it, especially because people have such a connection to these characters. Not really Moon Knight as much. I don't think he's definitely in that kind of Guardians of the Galaxy kind of realm where people know of Moon Knight, but they don't really know a lot about Moon Knight. So this will be a good introduction for a lot of people towards this character, myself included. I don't really know much about Moon Knight. I've never really read the comics or anything like that. My comics were Spider-Man, Daredevil, Hulk, the X-Men. That was my comics when I was a kid. So, and the Punisher as well. I love Punisher comics, but that was my comics when I was a kid. So, seeing all these new properties like Guardians and Ant-Man and there's just loads of stuff coming out now. Black Panther, all these different things that I knew existed and I knew very little about them, but seeing their films coming out and you get a real big appreciation for these characters now. And I trust Feige 100% with all these properties. You can't doubt him, really. You just can't doubt him. His track record speaks for itself. But it'll be interesting to see how they have this connective tissue with the MCU, with the films and the Disney Plus shows. A lot of the shows that have been announced were already characters in the MCU, like Falcon and Winter Soldier, and all these different shows that they've been announcing. Hawkeye as well. So they're already shows in the world that, they're already about characters that we know, where some of these shows, we don't know these characters yet. Moon Knight. They also announced a She-Hulk series and a Miss Marvel live-action series as well. So we're getting all these new characters coming in. I'm very interested to see She-Hulk, how they will connect that to Bruce Banner. Will it be his cousin, like it is in the comics? Will he be, will they try and change it a little bit? Will it just be a random person who ends up, with Banner's blood? It's going to be interesting to see that. But I'm 100% behind that. I think that's going to be very interesting. Obviously, we've all got our fantasy picks. Who's going to play She-Hulk. I heard someone say Ronda Rousey, and I just burst out laughing because she's a terrible actress. So please don't do that. I know Marvel wouldn't do that anyway because that would be a stupid decision. But there's loads of actresses that you could have as She-Hulk. People are just looking towards physical actresses. Actresses who are known for their physicality. Maybe Gina Carano, who obviously was an MMA fighter, but she's transitioned to be quite a decent actress now. So, I mean, she could definitely play She-Hulk. But I think they're kind of obvious choices. I'd like to see one out to left field type of choice. Obviously, they need to bring that physicality. They can't just be, a stick figure, but they have to bring that physicality for that character. Or maybe they'll do She-Hulk with, CGI, or they'll do motion capture. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that. But yeah, guys, D23 so far looking pretty good. I mean, the things that they've announced are creating a lot of buzz, and it's very understandable to see that. My highlights, I'd say, would be the Obi-Wan series, the She-Hulk series, and the Mandalorian trailer. I think that those are the top three things so far that have come out. They also showed footage of the What If animated series, but they haven't released that online or anything. There's only some screenshots and things like that. So I think one of them is Hayley Atwell's Peggy Carter. She got the super soldier serum, instead of Steve Rogers. I think it's going to be good. I hope they play it as comedy. If they really play up the comedic elements of this What If animated series, it could be fantastic. It really could be, and it could be it could be in the vein of something like a Lego movie. I feel like they should have had people like a Phil Lord and Chris Miller. If you had Phil Lord and Chris Miller, a show running a What If animated series, that would be fantastic. The comedy that they could bring to that satirical, fourth wall comedy that they could bring with that would be fantastic. It'd be hilarious. So yeah, guys, that's kind of my takeaways would be those: the Mandalorian trailer, the Obi-Wan spin-off, and the She-Hulk series being announced as well. The Lady in the Tramp trailer would come, just underneath that. I'm very mixed on that. Not because I don't think the trailer's good, but I'm just wondering, like, will this film have the audience there? Like, will it warrant that? I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'll definitely watch it 100%. I love The Lady in the Tramp, but what I'm just saying is this film not coming out in cinemas kind of gonna hamper it a little bit? Because I feel like if it's been on Disney Plus, people won't really kind of push that in a way. I don't think people will push to go and see that as much as like if it was in cinemas. If it was in cinemas, I think it would have a bigger audience, but as it is so far, that's just the way it is, guys. But it's a bit unfortunate, regardless. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of things being rumoured that are still being announced at D23. I definitely, I kind of feel like there'll be an Indiana Jones announcement. There's got to be. There has to be an Indiana Jones announcement. Like, it's been rumoured for ages now. There's been talks of Harrison Ford coming back to do a fifth one, which I think would be a huge mistake. Harrison Ford's like 73 now, 74, maybe 75. So he's getting old now, and I think it's time to breathe new life into this series. Kind of take it back before the first film, take it back before Raiders of the Lost Ark. Do something new with it. Not necessarily a prequel, but just have like. Well, you could do a prequel. I think it would work. I think Indiana Jones, his adventures would definitely be interesting to see. But I just feel like it's inevitable that this will happen. People, again, have been asking for it for a long time. There's been rumours going for years now. I remember Chris Pratt was like really heavily linked with doing an Indiana Jones film. But they could do an Indiana Jones like series on Disney Plus. I'd be interested in seeing that. 100%, I would definitely be interested in that. I think Indiana Jones is a very rich character, and I think there's a lot of stories that you can still tell. I know it's very kind of Nazi-centric with Indiana Jones, but you could still kind of tell different stories with that as well, and I don't think it has to be so centralised on Nazis. I think it's going to be interesting to see if Harrison Ford does come back to do Indiana Jones 5, if they'll have him back. I couldn't see why not. They brought him back for Force Awakens, but he's like, he's 4 years older now, so, and obviously by the time they even start production, he's going to be pushing like 80. Like, come on, he can't last forever. So it's going to be interesting. But I'm very much, oh God, I'm yawning, jeez. I'm very tired. But no, I'm interested to see what other news comes out. Obviously, D23 still carries on for a couple of days. It's not just a one-day thing, so it's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait for it, guys. I can't wait. The D23 thing, I'd love to go to one, but it's so exclusive towards America. Like, Comic-Con, there's Comic-Cons all over the world. There's Comic-Cons everywhere. There's Comic-Con in Birmingham, Manchester. There's something, there's always some in England. There's only one D23, and there's only been six of them conventions. So if you wanted to go to it, it's, especially if you live outside of America, it's a ball ache to get to, and it's expensive as well. So you just kind of just have to sit here and wait for news to drop, which is a bit crap, really. But then again, it is what it is. I don't mind, because I like seeing things coming out on the internet. I like to see people's reactions to things. I want to see people's reactions to all this D23 news, especially the Mandalorian trailer, because I know Star Wars fans can be very sensitive, to say the least. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan by any means. I like Star Wars. I have a affinity towards Star Wars, but it's not like I love Star Wars. Like, it's not like a Harry Potter or a Marvel or a Rocky or anything like that. I don't have that kind of emotional connection towards Star Wars as the other series, but I do enjoy the films, and obviously I'm interested to see where they go. But I don't have that emotional connection there where other people will. So I'm interested to see how people with a lot more stronger feelings towards Star Wars are going to feel about this. I'm very interested to see that. So yeah, guys, that'll be the podcast for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. This has just been a little kind of D23 special. I am going to bring the normal podcast back tomorrow, talking about a couple of bits of movie news that have happened over the past week, and obviously talking about topics that I talked about on my live stream yesterday, but I'll talk about them as well. Also, tomorrow I'm having one of my friends come on. He's a big movie fan, so that'll be fun to talk to him. We'll probably get in some debates. One of the things we will be talking more about is the Sony Marvel deal. We'll definitely be talking about that, so expect a little bit of a debate coming on for that. But I'm interested to see that guy. I'm interested to get more people on and get people on this podcast so I can talk to them about different things. Also, I was thinking about away from the movie podcast, talking like basically just about movies. I was thinking just to start up just a general podcast, just talking about my other interests, whether it be not like anything specific though. This is very specific towards films and movies. I was thinking about starting up a podcast, basically just talking about whatever I wanted, whether it be music or pro wrestling or MMA or boxing or talking about my other interests outside of films, talking about photography, talking about the news, politics, whatever it might be. Just talking about general things. I would like to get some guests on as well. So if any of you guys want to come on, you come on this podcast and you want to have a discussion about certain things, then you're more than welcome to. That'd be great. If you want to do that, if you are interested and you have something interesting that you want to say and want to talk about, whether it be about film or anything, just drop my email. Just email me. I'll put my email in the description below so you can get at that. And yeah, guys, I hope to hear from you soon. Like I said, podcast will be coming tomorrow. I'm gonna say around 6, maybe 8. So just keep your eyes open for that. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, my name has been Simon Mansell. You have been listening to the YMB Movie Talk podcast, and I'm very, very happy that you have been. Please like, subscribe, follow me on SoundCloud as well. I'm going to be putting more stuff on SoundCloud as well, so if you can follow me on there, that would be fantastic. And yeah, guys, follow me on Twitter as well at YMB Productions 1. Like my Facebook page, YMB Productions. Subscribe to my channel, all that good stuff. You know what to do. Share this podcast around. And yeah, guys, that will be it for today. And until tomorrow, I'll see you all later.